of the questions we've looked at, it's basically been a figure with a maybe a tiny little description, but a question just directly about that here. But some of the more complicated questions you see in with of these types here is where we have both text and then the graphics affiliated with the text. And in these cases, you will have questions that will ask you to use both, connect ideas from the text and the graphics that you have here. This. So this is a case where Chris and I really want to encourage you to take advantage of the fact that you have those whiteboards where you can put your notes there. So just and it doesn't have to be anything too involved, but just enough where you can keep track of things there. The one thing Chris and I don't want you to do is rely on your memory here with this. Because do you think that I remember those numbers from that divorce rate chart that we just showed, despite the fact that I've taught this session multiple times before and seen it? No, I remember some of them, but yeah, no, I look them up. We look them up there, and so that's one thing that we want you to utilize there. That we don't want you to just be relying on your memory for everything here. So when you do have these, what we do recommend you do is when we see the figure, kind of just start thinking about in context, how does that relate to the text that we have? So of course, to do all of this, we gotta start actually looking at a passage there. I know I kind of just quickly scrolled through those other points there, but that's what we've already been talking about. Just look at the labels there. That's no different than what we've done before. So let's jump into our particular passage here, and we're going to be talking about sea otters here. So here's what Chris and I want you to do is just take 30 seconds or so to just read through paragraph one here. And after you do that, we want to just talk about, okay, what was the big points? What do they talk about here? Okay, let's talk a little bit about otters. What does it tell us about otters in this first paragraph? What is the specific context with sea otters? Yeah. Okay, there used to be a whole bunch of sea otters on the California, Mexico coastline there. Awesome, awesome. Some really good friends of mine actually in the middle of last year moved to Seattle and we got a text from one recently. It was when it was snowing here and she's like, "Oh, here's my run out on the beach in Seattle and look, those are sea otters." So there's at least some of them up in the Puget Sound right now. um, okay, awesome. So sea otter background, they used to populate this area. Now, this paragraph's going to be cut in half here, but notice the change that we're talking about in this next one here. Uh, Sea otters were hunted extensively. And what happened to the population? Ooh, that went way down. Way, way down. Okay. Oh no, we haven't had a question yet, Brian. So so there's no poll yet. We'll have a poll once the question comes. Okay, so the population fell to just 1,000 to 2,000 individuals. Yeah, well, we're talking about the passage here, and when we get to the question, we'll pop open the poll. Don't worry. Um, so take a read through the rest of this that's up on the screen, and we'll talk about what they tell us now going forward in this. Yeah, so let's think about what we know. What do they tell us about the sea otters in more recent times here? And yeah, Debbie, it definitely is sad. I hate sometimes that I fall victim and think this way too. But sea otters are pretty darn cute, and yeah, it's kind of not fun to think about. So, I'm also like I have cats that I adore. There, Chris has even more cats than I do. This, but we have yeah, he's got one more than me. We have three here. That's enough. Once you get the third, they kind of start swarming. Yeah, same here. I mean, certainly not with all the snow. But what we what we know here is that they did start to have a comeback here. They were reintroduced. They had just been just in Monterey Bay, but they started having a comeback here. And so they're starting to occupy some of the regions they used to there. But overall, we're still they're still an endangered species here. So hmm, hopefully those efforts can continue going forward. Now this we got our passage here. Okay, we know almost hunted them to extinction that they're rebounding but still endangered. So let's take a look at this figure here. Take note of what it says here. Is this Does this tell us everywhere where sea otters used to be? No, it is only the current range of sea otters. And in fact, if we look here, these two lines, that is when the passage mentioned the sea otter refuge where they were trying to reinvigorate the population. That's specifically where it was. Apparently, right around Big Sur. Um, and what else do we notice about the little or the highlighted shore there? Is it restricted to the sea otter refuge here? It certainly seems like there's some sea otters outside of that refuge, which is just a good thing. Here. Okay, so we're going to be using this figure here in conjunction with the text to answer a couple of questions here. So we're going to start with question number 5. So we have, according to the passage, which of the following statements about sea otters is true? Thank you. Thanks for the votes that have been coming in here. Because we may need to analyze both the passage and the text here, or in the image here. Let's dig into this a little bit more here. And we're going to start by looking at answer choice A here. Do we know that anything about whether sea otter conservation efforts have been more successful in places that aren't California versus California? No, we did not. So by the way, C's the answer. We'll show you why that is here in a sec. But no, we don't know about outside of California. Do we know anything about whether water pollution affected the sea otter population? No, that's not mentioned. I mean, realistically, it almost certainly did, but that's not in the passage, so we don't get to talk about that. But we do know that sea otters are now in some areas from which they had been eliminated beforehand. And if we want verification here, notice that they said they were limited exclusively to an area around Monterey Bay. And if we flip back to the picture here, are the sea otters in the current range exclusively in Monterey Bay? Like, no, Monterey Bay's up here and it just keeps going down for a while there. So we know that the sea otters, they've come back in some of these areas here. Okay. Now, with the answer choice D, we don't just mention here, the number 2/3 is thrown out there, but it is that is actually the range at which it occupies, the amount of area that it takes up, with not the actual numbers. There. So it's D is they're trying to throw you off with throwing out a number that's in there, but it's not actually the answer. So again, these are not easy questions, by the way, here. The important thing is upon reviewing this, if it's clicking, it's making sense now. That's what Chris and I care about. Okay, let's look at question number 6. And we're going to here's what we're going to do for question number 6. We have no choice. We got to utilize that graph here for this. And on test day, you will be able to navigate it a little better here, but because you're kind of relying upon me to do the navigation here, we're going to talk through this one here together. This. But we want conclusions that are drawn from both the passage and the map here. Some of these, though, we'll probably be able to eliminate off the bat, and then others we'll have to delve into a little bit more here. But let's take a look at answer choice A. Do we know, do we have any information to suggest that sea otters will soon have the same range that they used to? No, that is something we can all hope for, but no, we don't have that here. Well, let's look at answer choice B. Sea otter habitat was has been restored only within the boundaries of the sea otter refuge. What do you notice about the sea otter habitats here against the refuge? Are sea otters only restored to the area boundaries of the sea otter refuge? Yeah, here, I'm gonna highlight this refuge area here with some hot pink there. Yes, because that's what you think of with when you think of sea otters, right? Uh, no, it is. They're definitely extending outside of these as well here. So B, we can use the figure here in this case to say, wait, nope, that is definitely not true. Look at that. That is not true. Do we know here? And we'll stay on the figure here for right now. Are sea otters still hunted north of Point Ano Nuevo? And apologize to anybody who speaks Spanish if I did not pronounce it correctly. I took French. No, and what does the figure actually tell us north of Point Ano Nuevo? I mean, it looks like I see a distinct lack of sea otters up there. So, yeah, that does not seem there. No, that's not a spoiler here, really, because we've eliminated C. So it's what answer choice does it have to be at this point? I think that's all Candida was trying to say here. Is like, wait, the first three are out. It's D. It is D here. But what does it say about the range of the sea otters in 1911? And we can take a look back at the text here. Going to point you in the direction of up here. What does it tell us about the range of the sea otters in 1911? It was limited specifically. The range was just Monterey Bay. That's it. Now, of course, we looked at the figure several times here, but is the range of the sea otters just Monterey Bay anymore? Yeah, Monterey Bay is up here. The sea otters are the refuge is below it, is south of it, so going all the way down past San Luis Obispo, almost to Santa Barbara there. But yeah, this is the current range is definitely larger than it was in 1911 here. And you notice the only way we know that for sure. I mean, we also if we want you to feel comfortable if we just eliminate our way down to D, just pick D here. But say in the event that we're checking to verify D here, you needed the text in order to be able to actually fully answer this question here. There's no way to do it without looking at the text to be able to understand that, oh, that's right. It was just Monterey in 1911 there. Well, Brian, if you stick around for the next one here, we'll see specifically how these things will pop up in the science section here. But it's very similar type of reasoning.